Hello, Vincent Carroll speaking. This tutorial is on lung yin deficiency. I'm always concerned about lung yin deficiency because it has a certain connection with carcinoma of the lung from a Western medical point of view, but that need not be so. Lung yin deficiency can occur in any adult age, and it tends to present with some of the signs and symptoms of yin deficiency, but particularly where it pertains to the lung. So a dry, tickly cough will be one of the first things that I would consider to be lung yin deficiency, particularly in an older person, particularly in a person who perhaps was a smoker or who was exposed to passive smoking, or other maybe industrial processes where they might have inhaled. So a person with lung yin deficiency may start with a dry, tickly cough. The sputum will be stringy and difficult to bring up. It might be russet. Now, what do we mean by russet? We mean a discoloration, a ready discoloration. That may not necessarily mean frank blood, but it can mean frank blood. And if it's blood, there are reasons for serious concern, particularly if the person was a smoker. The lung yin deficient person may display other signs of yin deficiency. They might be perhaps a little bit difficult to get on with. They might have a tendency to read between the lines, to look for hidden meaning, not to take anything at face value. And they are often signs associated with general yin deficiency. But the person with lung yin deficiency, in addition, will have this dry, tickly, and at times very distressing cough. It kind of goes, if I may mimic it, something like rather than a productive cough that might sort of indicate perhaps phlegm in the lung from a Western point of view, or indeed from a TCM point of view as well. But the person who's lung yin deficient has the dry, tickly cough. They also have a sign of heat in the body. And of course, why is the cough dry? It's dry because of evaporation. It is an empty heat. It's not a full-on heat that you might get with a wind heat invasion. It's an empty heat. And the empty heat over time makes the sputum stringy and dry and difficult to expectorate, difficult to get up. And it has this russet, deep colouring to it, without it being a green, infective colour, often associated, as I might have said, with heat invasion. Here we have there's no invasion here. This is an interior condition. This is not an external wind condition. This is an interior condition brought about primarily by deficiency of yin as pertaining to the lung organ. Why does a person get it? Well, usually it is due to exposure to various pathogens that might come their way, not pathogens as we understand it from a Western medical point of view, but more smoke inhalation or the inhalation of other products that might produce this dry, tickly cough. Very often there is a deficiency there anyway, and the deficiency might come about by grief, because grief can of course undermine the lung. Grief is the mental emotional, I suppose, component of lung as a TCM organ. So there may well be grief there, but there will certainly be irritation there as well, producing the characteristic dry, tickly cough. So if a person has lung yin deficiency, what should the treatment be? Well, first of all, I would liaise with our Western medical colleagues, because as I said, if you suspect that there is exposure to cigarette smoke, then the likelihood is that there is a lung yin deficiency, perhaps causing a carcinoma of the lung, particularly if there's frank blood mixed with the stringy sputum. That would be one of the things that one must do. But from an acupuncture point of view, I treat yin. So I will treat yin by by opening the chest with Ren 17, and of course by doing Ren 4, which is a wonderful point to settle yin and encourage yin generally within the body. I would tonify the lung with lung 9 on one side. If there was grief, I would do lung 7 on the other side. Lung 9 and lung 7 are not mutually exclusive points. Of course not. They do very different things. It's relatively unusual to needle both together, but there's no law that says you can't. So if you want to tonify the lung qi, meaning lung yin qi, lung 9 will be a point. If you want to abolish grief, lung 7 will be a point. You can do those. scenarios. Would I use kidney 1? I probably would, because I like using kidney 1. I think it's a wonderful point for yin, but Ren 4 would probably be more appropriate point. Lung 9, I would settle the person with a pericardium 7. I would consider perhaps a Ren 22. I like Ren 22 as a point, which is top of the sternum. I needle it not very deeply, but I would needle it at least a good half sewn downwards and frontwards to kind of sink it against the sternum bone. And again, the far side, obviously the inside of the sternum bone, but it's a safe point. There is space there in the mediastinum. Once again, you're responsible with how you needle it. Don't needle it too deeply, but you can get in a good half sewn there, and it's a safe point when you needle it correctly and properly. It's a point it can bruise incidentally as well, so be aware of that when you take out the needle. So that's another point that I find a useful point for lung yin deficiency. But overall, lung yin deficiency is a general part of overall yin deficiency, and a person gets there over a lifetime of work. It's not something that appears suddenly. So therefore, a person has to put structure in their life to perhaps tonify yin. And the best way you do that is by recognizing, I suppose, qualities to put back into your life. Anything that gives a sense of majesty, a sense of wonderment in life. It could be quality literature, good music, spirituality, an appreciation of nature. These things build up our yin in the body. So when the person perhaps is being treated for their lung yin deficiency, it is a constant monitoring situation to make sure they don't slip back into lung yin deficiency or any other type of yin deficiency. And that is based upon altering their lifestyle to incorporate yin enhancing activities into life. That's how I see it. Thank you.